What is your profession?
So here we have 2,000 points of Armageddon Steel Legion. We will be running a brigade attachment today, which means we will have 15 command points, 12 for the brigade and 3 for being battle forged. So we'll start off with the troop selection today. We have 6 armoured fist squads. These are infantry squads in chimeras. Each chimera has a heavy bolter on the whole heavy bolter turret and a heavy stubber, and each infantry squad is exactly the same. It's a sergeant with a bolt gun and a infantryman with a plasma gun. Everyone else has las guns. Going on to the characters, we have 3 elite choices, 2 platoon commanders and a tech priest engine seer, and then we have 5 HQs. We have 2 company commanders. We have Yarrick today because no Steel Legion force is complete without the old man himself, and then we have 2 tank commanders in executioners. These are the plasma cannon ones. So both have got plasma cannon turrets, plasma cannon sponsons, a whole heavy bolter, and had 2 points left over, so one of them got a heavy stubber. And finally we have the support elements. So in heavy support itself we have 2 Lemurus Conquerors, both with Conqueror cannon, with coaxial storm bolter, 2 plasma cannons each and a hull heavy bolter. And finally we have a Manticore with a hull heavy bolter. And last but not least, 3 armor sentinels with las cannon. Just one last little fine detail I want to remember. This officer has a power sword and las pistol, and this officer has a bolt pistol and power sword. Everyone else is just stock as they come. So there we go. Let's see what the Armageddon 234th will be facing off against today. So today guys, we've got a real treat for you. I'm facing a very competitive player with a very competitive list. I've got Matt Robertson on the channel. He was captain for Team Wales for 2 years, and he's actually on Team England currently. He's been very kind enough to come down and do a battle report with me today. I actually play against Matt semi-regularly down at the club, and he's beaten me more times than I've beaten him, but I've got a few cheeky wins in against him. So Matt, do you want to run us through what you've brought today?
So it's 4 House Tronis Knights, 3 of which are Crusaders with Thermal Lance, Gatling Cannon and Iron Missile Pods, and then 1 Warden with a Gatling, a Fist and an Iron Missile Pod, combined with 3 to 5 Admit Rangers and 2 Engine Seers.
Excellent. So this is basically 4 Knights and Rusty 17 for the command points.
Yes.
Excellent. So that's the list. What we'll do, we'll go through in a moment. We'll go through sort of Warlord Traits and Psychic Powers, and we'll just be back with that in a moment. So we'll go through the Warlord Traits and Relics for each army. Now, pre-game, the Knights have spent the command points on, I believe it's called the Exalted Court, which means everyone gets a Warlord Trait essentially, and there's also a Relic in there. Is it 2 relics? 2 relics. 2 relics. And 1 extra War Trait. So this fella here, he's got the Iron Bulwark Warlord trait, and he has Endless Fury as his relic, which essentially gets extra hits from that Gatling if he gets 6s to hit. This guy here has the Fury of Mars thermal cannon, so it's an extra strength, extra damage thermal cannon. This guy has, is it Armor of the Saint Ion, is it? So he has a 2+ regular save, and this guy has Landstrider. And then coming over to the Steel Legion, I've just got one pokey little guy, and he's going to have the Old Grudges Warlord trait, which means I'm going to pick a knight and get lots of rerolls to wound against it, and he is going to have the Relic Kurov's Aquila, so he gets command points back on a 5+. So there we go guys, Armoured Behemoths versus a wall of armoured tanks. Immovable object meets unstoppable force. Let's see what happens. So here we are, field of battle after deployment. The Armageddon Steel Legion have deployed an iron line across the whole front of the battlefield, created a bit of a fire base here with Yarrick shouting out reroll 1s to all the guys around him. And if we come over here, we have the Knights of House Tyrannus with their Admech allies. These guys are not on top here, just to say fiddling around, they're actually underneath here. The only squad I can see is this one through this small gap here. The rest of them are blocked from line of sight. We have the Knights over here. So we're doing, for mission today, we're doing, it's based on an ETC mission where it's Big Guns Never Tire and Contact Loss. So it's Maelstrom and Eternal War at the same time. Big Guns Never Tire, it's objectives 1 to 5 count for the end of the game. Number 6 is just for Maelstrom. And the Maelstrom mission is where you basically keep 3 cards and you have to pick more cards up if you've got a unit on an objective at the beginning of the turn. So if you don't hold any objectives, then you can't pick up any more Maelstrom cards. So I should say before, I always forget, I should say this terrain is from a mixture of places. The pre-painted generators are from GameMat.eu. The battle mat is from GameMat.eu. The MDF terrain here is from Pwork War Games. That it does come unpainted. I have built it and painted it using Games Workshop stuff. And then this bunker here was sent in by a fan, Pandemonium Miniatures. I have links to all this stuff down in the description below. But yeah, there we go. And I should say finally the deployment, if it's not obvious, is Hammer and Anvil. Now the Guard currently have turn 1, but we're going to see if the Knights and Admech can steal. No, thank God, I felt that in my chest that he was going to steal that then. It happens every time on camera. Let's see what happens. Let's see if the Guard can give the Knights a bloody nose before they get run down by these Iron Behemoths. So the Armageddon Steel Legion moved out tentatively towards the Knights, just trying to get some extra guns in range. The Knights had quite tactically deployed just over 41 inches away from the plasma cannons and heavy bolters of the Armageddon Steel Legion, which meant that essentially we would have to move forward and lose our grinding advance in order to actually get these Leman Russes in range. So that's what we did. It's better to get into range a little bit than to sit back and not shoot at all. All these Leman Russes opened up. I marked with his Warlord trait Old Grudges the Close Combat Knight, as it was the easiest one to remember which one had the trait against it, which meant I got lots of reroll ones to wound. There was lots of reroll ones to hit with this guy and this guy. Actually, reroll all wounds, sorry, from him. And basically, long story short, all this opened fire into this knight, and we were able to chip off 14 wounds, which is pretty good effort. We didn't kill it, though, which then made me start thinking about first strike. The small arms, the plasma and the heavy bolter, and these heavy bolters here tried to open up onto these Admech, but only killed, was it 1 or 2 of them? Only killed 2 of them, so not even enough to force morale check or anything. They've so then I thought, right, I really do need to start thinking about first strike now. So this Leman Russ opened fire onto this 5-man squad here and killed 3 of them, and then even though it was a bit overkill, I shot the Manticore at them, which just absolutely decimated them. 11 shots from the Manticore, and it just blew them away. I should say actually the hero moment was these guys actually did 12 wounds to that knight, and it was these hero sentinels, just thanks to reroll 1s to Yarrick, actually managed to sneak a wound through over here. Matt did try and use a CP to stop it because it would have degraded them, but I did get it through, and I did manage to do 2 more wounds to them. So that was it. Yeah, don't forget about the hero las cannon shots. Should say these knights were quite tough to do any damage to because Matt had spent CP on giving the knights the canticles of the Admiral, which is a really cool little trick. I think that's 2 command points.
It's 1 per knight.
1 per knight, that's interesting. And then he also spent a command point to choose which canticle he wanted to do, which was Shroud Psalm.
You can pick anyway. I've spent CPs to swap before I should normally be able to.
Oh, okay, there you go, fair enough. So, long story short, he was going to get Shroud Psalm on these knights, which is a pretty good way of doing it. So that's it. That's the card I drew was Defend Objective 4, which is this one over here, so wasn't going to get that one anytime soon. I have held on to it for now. And what I've done is I've moved this Chimera onto this objective, so hopefully I'll get a little bit more CP, more cards next turn if the guys inside there survive. So there we go, a bit of a long turn, but there's lots of different shooting with the Steel Legion. I'm sure it'll speed up once the units start exploding. But let's see how the Knights can retaliate. They've lost a squad. One of them's degraded, but I'm sure he'll be using Machine Spirit Resurgence to be on full power again. So let's see what these Knights can do to the Steel Legion. So the Knights have shown the Steel Legion the true meaning of Armoured Fist, and they have absolutely done a serious amount of damage to the Steel Legion. 3 Leman Russes gone down. Basically, this knight over here fired everything into this plasma one, killed it. This knight here fired everything into this Conqueror and killed it. This knight over here fired everything into this Conqueror and killed it. And finally, the injured one, it is on full profile because of Machine Spirit Resurgence, fired its Gatling Cannon into here and got 6 wounds, but not degraded, which is pretty good. But 3 Russes down, serious amount of firepower levelled against the Russes, and they were relatively easily torn apart, to be honest. The fact that their Gatling is AP-2 makes a huge difference against the Steel Legion trait. Should say, this Sentinel survived every single missile pod and heavy stubber fired it, and didn't take a single wound. Hero Sentinel here, he will bring Knights down. He'll be the superior walker in this battle. But should say the Knights drew secure objective 5, which is the one that my Sentinel over there is stood on. So Matt obviously just discarded that straight away, and I decided to get rid of my turn defend objective 4 because I just don't think I'm going to get it, to be honest. Yeah, so I decided to get rid of objective 4 over there because even if I do manage to get a squad onto it, it's going to get stomped on and shot at and killed, so it's unlikely I'm going to get it. So there we go, pretty quick night turn, no charges, they weren't quite in range. Let's see if the Steel Legion with their remaining big guns, we can bring down a knight this turn. It's going to be important. Let's see what we can do going into our turn 2. So the Steel Legion fought back with great fury. This tank commander wasn't having any of it, and he was able to almost single-handedly kill the wounds that were on his remaining knight. He did need a little bit of help from a couple of heavy bolter chimeras. This guy giving reroll wounds has absolutely made a difference. We were, with those 3 hits, were able to bring this knight down. Didn't explode. And I should say that the infantry squad that was inside here got out, moved, and then that got them onto this objective here because I drew secure objective 6, which I've now managed to keep. This knight did heroically intervene and stomp all over my face because it is a character because it's in the Exalted Court, but I just used 2 CP to auto pass. Swinging over to this side of the battlefield, pretty much everything unloaded into this knight. And it's got a 4-pin run, so it's pretty tough. We were able to put 4 wounds onto it, but that's it. So there we go. We've scored 2 objectives because we had Hammer of the Emperor as well, and that knight was technically holding that objective. And we've got secure objective 6 with First Blood. We've also got 3 points, and we've taken 4 points off the main Warlord Knight. But now it's going to be stompy feet time, and let's see if the Steel Legion can withstand that damage, because it's going to be pretty horrendous. Let's see what they can do going into their turn 2 with the Knights. So the Knights drew defend objective 2, which was that objective there, so they decided to forget about that and just to go smashing in tanks. Quite predictably, the Lieben Russ was finished off over here by a cheeky thermal shot, and also by a long-range thermal shot from this guy who's got the Fury of Mars. It's got an extra range, you see, so it was able to come in here, and it only got 2 wounds though. This Chimera was blown up by a combination of thermal and Gatling fire from these 2 knights, and the guys piled out and they got down in that building there. 2 of them died from some spare firepower, 2 of them broke their legs on the way out. They didn't listen in mechanised training school. Now what we're going to do, so the Knights have killed a Russ, killed a Chimera, and then we've done the assault phase, but we're going to, well, Matt's going to walk us through what he's done, because he's just going to demonstrate. It's a really good example of how you can sort of, you can be quite cheeky in the assault phase with how you do things. So we've already resolved it, and this Chimera has died, and the guys have piled out. Now Matt got 7 inches on his charge, and then he's going to explain the rest of it to us now.
So my 7-inch charge went from around here into here, which put me about 4.5 inches away from the Sentinel, within 1 inch of the Chimera. So then after charging before I attacked, I used my piling move to go 3 inches this way. So I was 1 inch away here, I'm now 0.9 of an inch, for example. I then fight, resolve all my attacks against the Chimera. In this example I killed it, so it exploded, moved out of the way. A good example is if it doesn't die, I can then use my consolidate move after I've attacked and done my piling. So I have to move closer to the nearest model, which is this. So I'm 0.9 of an inch away. I will then move to here, which is within 1 inch of the Sentinel over here, and half an inch away from the Chimera here.
So technically he's moved closer, but he's still managed to tag the Sentinel. So that's why, guys, it can be very important not to actually go into base-to-base combat until sort of the end of the fighting phase, basically.
Yeah, you get so much manoeuvrability by being able to move around and use it to move across this way rather than just straight in there.
Yeah, so that's a really, and Knights are really good at doing this as well. It's one of their
big squads are crazy as well, because you can do your pilings in any direction as long as you're close to the nearest enemy model. even if you weren't in combat with it at the start.
Yeah. Well, thanks for talking us through that, Matt. This has died, and essentially what that's allowed the knight to do is because it stayed away, it was able to pile in, and then when it killed the knight, it was able to kill the chimera. It was able to consolidate and tag that sentinel. So he's actually managed to go 13 inches off a 7-inch charge. So that's quite, that's a good thing to know. And I have a joke with Matt, because he does all these kind of shenanigans down at the club, and I call it the Matt Robinson School of Assaulting. So there's all these little tricks, and I've started using them with my Gene Stealer cult, and where I've learned all those tricks from with the cult is basically by playing Matt and him constantly trapping and wrapping vehicles. But yeah, so that's hope that explains that sort of maneuver to you guys, because I know a lot of you do ask about sort of trapping and consolidating and how you can do that kind of stuff. But that's the knight's turn. They've killed 2 chimeras. They've damaged an infantry squad. I should say I've lost 4 from that squad, so I'll take a morale check. 6, so that's another 3 that are going to run away. We'll do that off camera. And 2 chimeras have gone down. So the knights, I should say this knight did take 2 mortal wounds from the explosion from this chimera. So the knight's looking pretty strong. One's only taken 3 damage, one's only taken 2 damage, one's on full strength. The Steel Legion have lost all the Russes, 2 chimeras, one of the sentinels is locked up, and the Manticore's begun to take damage and has only got half his missiles left, but I think he'll be lucky if he gets to fire and he fires last one. But the Steel Legion are ahead on points. The knights have failed to draw anything of worth, but they are now holding 1, 2, 3, 4 objectives, so I'm unlikely to shift them, and they're going to start really racking up those cards. Let's see if the Steel Legion can fight back hard in their turn 3. Steel Legion really felt the lack of heavy guns this turn. We fired lots of Daka into this knight, and it did end up taking 2 wounds from las guns from this chimera here, which is pretty good. This junior officer firing absolutely every las gun array on his own, because the squad jumped out to get objective 1 because we drew supremacy this turn, so they needed to sacrifice themselves. The squad that was here moved and advanced onto this objective, which helped me get supremacy. Then lots of little firepower went into this knight, and we actually did cause 6 wounds to it in total, but he made 4 6-up, feel no pain. It's absolutely fantastic. And then everything over here fired that could fire, all the small arms. These 2 infantry squads here, one down there, one up there, with orders from this chimera using mobile command vehicle, fired into the knight, and I think we did like 1 wound to it. Really felt the lack of big guns. Shouldn't forget that missile's gone. So we did feel it, but we did get supremacy. Now, because we're playing sort of a ETC style mission, D3 objectives are worth just a flat 2. It's just to make it a lot less random. So there we go, guys. Now, let's see what the knights can do. They're on a lot of objectives, which means they're going to get to draw a lot of cards. Let's see how they do at the end of their turn 3. So the knights have just keep on doing what knights do, and they are just laying on the pain with a trowel. This knight over here came forward, and between its shooting and close combat, blasted away both sentinels over there. This knight over here finished off those guardsmen there, and there was a squad of guards under there which died as well. And then this guy over here was able to do 8 wounds to the chimera that's there, and also killed the squad of guardsmen that was there. I think that's everything, isn't it?
And a tech priest.
Oh, and a tech priest. The tech priest died. Long live the tech priest is dead. Long live the tech priest. He died to some random Gatling cannon. Oh, it was a full Gatling cannon, wasn't it? Yeah, no, the tech priest got Gatling, so that I didn't get a chance to keep that objective. So at the end of that turn, the knights scored 3, which means they're on 4 points in total with first blood. And they also have started defending that objective, and if they get that, which is very likely, they will pull into the lead by 1 point. And because the guard don't currently control an objective, because we've just been cleared of them all, we won't be drawing any cards this turn. So this is just, I have to try and do something to a knight, basically. Let's see what the Steel Legion can pull out of the bag going into their turn 4. So the Imperial Guard, we're fighting bravely, but it's not enough. It's too little, too late. The platoon commander's jumped out here. He got a 1 on his move and then a 2 in advance with his move. He's trying to get a cheeky line breaker. He probably won't be allowed to get that, but we'll see what happens. And then everything else apart from cheeky heavy couple of bolters went into this knight. The cheeky heavy bolters did a wound or two to this one, but it's still only taken 4 in total. And then everything here went into the knight, and we've done 6 wounds in total to it. Yarrick got into combat with it and actually managed to hit 3 times, which is pretty good. Got a cheeky wound on it, and the knight failed its save, and Yarrick did 2 wounds to it, so that's pretty good. In return, the knight tried to step on the commander and Yarrick. It missed with 3 attacks against the commander, and the remaining attacks went in against Yarrick, and he had to make 8 4-up invulnerable saves. He made 5 of them. The damage went through, he took 3 straight away, and then his Iron Will kicked in, and he made 2 3-up feel no pains, and he actually has managed to resist a knight's foot stamping on top of him. Which is great. I was thinking Yarrick should really be my Warlord, because he doesn't give Warlord up very easily, and with an Ogre and Bodyguard it would be a very difficult Warlord kill for my opponent to get. Maybe something to consider going into tournaments in the future. But that's it. The Guard really are, without our big guns, should say the Manticore fired off its last rocket, pretty much didn't achieve anything. I think it got a wound. The Guard are pretty much out of big guns now. We're just trying desperately to keep earning some glory, maybe get a cheeky point here and there. But it's in mop-up mode for the Knights now. Let's see how quickly they can slaughter these remaining Guardsmen going into Knight turn 4. So the Knights continue to do what Knights do, and that is stomping all over things. So pretty much all the Chimeras have died now, apart from this one, which managed to live on a cheeky 2 wounds left. This is just from the thermal cannons and the Gatling cannons. Yeah, it's become a bit of a slaughter. These Guardsmen up here took heavy stubbers and missile launchers from pretty much every knight, and a heavy flame from this one. 2 were left, and unfortunately they ran away. The morale was too much of an issue. I do notice that between my Steel Legion and my Mordians. My Mordians they've got the extra leadership. You've got the Warlord trait, which stops people from running away on a 4+. It is actually, you don't really lose a lot of men with Mordians, but Steel Legion, they're all underhive scum that's been conscripted, so they run away pretty quickly. So I know we're summarising that bit quite quickly, but we're getting to the main event here, which was the knight came in. Predictably, it tried to kill Yarrick with guns and failed. That was with like a stubber and a flamer, and then it charged in against Yarrick and the company commander. Predictably, the company commander got squashed. Yarrick made 1 out of his 3 4-up saves, and then just tanks all the feel no pains again. He just sat there, and in return he put 3 wounds on the knight. So he's amazingly, Yarrick is winning the fight versus a knight, but I don't know how long that's going to continue for. But let's see what happens going into Imperial Guard turn 5. Now it's in mop-up phase. We do get to draw a card this turn though, because we actually do have 2 models next to Objective 5. That could be it, could be game changing. I doubt it, but let's see what happens. We'll do a quick turn for the Guard now. So predictably the Steel Legion didn't do any damage in the shooting phase. In the movement phase, this guy came over here and then charged into these ranges over here. And we haven't done the combat yet, and Yarrick stayed in combat over there. So what we're going to do is, just because I never do it, we're going to do some live on camera dice rolls. Matt can't interrupt, so we're going to do the platoon commander over here with his chainsaw. Now he's got a scary orc head, so that might make a difference to his combat prowess. No, he's absolutely he's
distracted by the orc.
He's distracted by his own orc head. It's bleeding in his eyes. He does get a wound on a ranger. And he does kill one, so it wasn't a complete waste of time. But now for the main event, for the one that you all come here for. Yarrick will continue hopefully to beat the crap out of a knight. So he's got 3 attacks. He hits twice. He does get to reroll 1s, and he hits with all 3 because he would hit on 2s, but it's -1, but he still hits on 3s. So this is actually, he's got that every single time so far, which is pretty good. And then it's 5s to wound, because unfortunately he's only strength 6. He doesn't get the wound. The one time live on camera, it doesn't do anything. So the knight's going to squash him now. Let's see what it does. Okay, so he's doing pretty well so far.
There we go.
No ones. Right, so we're going to roll these 4 up. I bet the one time he's on camera, he just absolutely flubs it. That looks pretty good on the invuns. There's 1 over there, so that's 5. So 5 damage, 5d3.
1.
So he takes 2 on the first one, makes it. 3 on the second one, makes it. Fails it. I'm going to use my last command point, makes it.
Number 3.
Number 3. 3 again. Dies. Fine, Yarrick brilliantly held on in combat against the knight for 3 turns. So, and did, I think in total, 5 wounds to it. So a 100-point model can hold off a knight in close combat for 3 rounds of combat and was able to do 5 wounds to it. So he's not even his ideal target. So you can imagine what he'd be like if he was going against maybe another enemy character. He'd actually be quite nasty. Anyway, that's it. The knights have claimed that character over there. Oh, the rangers do get to fight back against my guy over here. Get a hit. And a wound. 5 up save. Hey, love it. So that's it. We'll do the knight turn quickly and we'll see. There's probably no point in doing the other turns, but let's see if the knights can finish me off going into their turn 5. So predictably, the knights have almost mopped the field. I actually thought they'd table me that turn, but they didn't. This knight fired a Gatling cannon over here and killed the platoon commander that was there. These 2 knights combined killed the Chimera and the squad, and then this knight over here was able to fire its extra long range thermal into this guy, and he actually only took 2 wounds, so he's which is pretty lucky from a thermal cannon. So that's it. That's the end of turn 5 for the knights. See if the game ends. We're going to roll it over here. So the game does continue. Let's do my turn extremely quickly on camera. This guy's going to move over here. He's going to shoot his las pistol. He fucking misses. He's going to charge that knight. Let's see.
The Gatling cannon. 2.
2 5-up saves to make. Nope, he dies. And that's it. Let me just shake your hand. There we go. Good game. God, it's hot in this apartment. I'm really it's middle of summer here, guys, and it's pretty humid in here at the moment.
It's spring.
So, absolutely fantastic game. Thank you, Matt, for coming down and giving me a good walloping. It was a really, really good game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know knights are very, very powerful, but I asked Matt to come down. I did ask him, bring a really strong list, bring something that's tournament competitive. I want to see what my steel, do a sort of stress test against my Steel Legion. Obviously the Steel Legion, they fought valiantly, but against a super optimized list like this, they unfortunately there's been with all the chapter approved and the nerfs that Guard have taken and just in general the change to the meta, the Steel Legion haven't really been able to keep up, which is a bit of a shame. But I thought the Knights did absolutely fantastically. I hope you guys got to see some of the sort of cool tactics that we were able to sort of show off, especially with sort of the wrapping and how you can be cheeky in the assault over here. It's also great to see just how powerful some of these top lists are. I mean, we all talk about how good Knights are, and we all talk about them being top tier, but talking about it on the internet is one thing, actually showing it off and displaying it here is completely another thing. And it's just really good. So if you guys do want to do some sort of top tier lists, obviously think about getting yourself a knight. And if you're going to go to top tournaments, this is the kind of list you can expect to face. 3 or 4 knights. Castellans you're probably not going to face anymore. It's going to be more likely you're going to face 3 or 4 regular knights. Yeah. It was also good to show off the different mission type, because obviously most people will either do Maelstrom or Eternal War. In this one we were doing both, which was quite nice. I think the end score was, obviously I got tabled, but even without that I only scored 5 victory points, including first strike. I think, Matt, you ran away with it. You had all the objectives. 15 for the objectives alone, and then another probably dozen for the cards. So obviously massive win for the Knights there, but that's what they do. They come, they see, they conquer. Once again, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, Matt, for coming down. And of course, I'll see you guys next time.